I'm Paul Keeley from EkoBuilt, and today we're going to show you the 4 steps to installing any type of foundation. Now we're showing you a slab foundation here today in the background, but ultimately the 4 steps are the same for installing any foundation type. You want to, number 1, excavate down to bearing capacity. Number 2, you want to install a gravel pad maintaining that bearing capacity. Number 3, you want to install your footing layer, which will carry the loads for the building. And lastly, number 4, you have your structural floor or structural wall system. Those 4 steps are the same for any type of foundation, whether it's a slab-on-grade or a fully in-ground basement or a crawl space or a raised slab. You follow these same 4 steps. Now I'm standing on a gravel pad, but step 1 is the excavation. We want to excavate removing as little ground as possible to achieve 75 kPa, or in layman's terms, 1,500 pounds per square foot, which is the general engineer requirement for any building. Sometimes soil types do not have this high degree of strength capacity, and there can be solutions, but right now we're going to talk about the simple approach, excavating the minimal amount to achieve your bearing capacity. And for a slab system like this, it could be anywhere from 1 foot to 4 feet of excavation to get that solid ground. And how do we verify whether the ground is strong enough? There's really 2 options. Number 1, I call it the cost-free version, would be using your building inspector. Ultimately, the first step in your building inspection process is the excavation, where the building inspector comes out to site, does a visual inspection to determine the soil type, and then attributes that soil type to a certain strength within the building code. The problem with this is it's a visual inspection done by most of the time a non-engineer. Now, if the building inspector is experienced, that could be the route you move forward with, but what I recommend most cost effective is bringing in a geotechnical engineer for an on-site site visit where they show up as the excavation is happening. Most excavators will have a general idea of what is strong ground, and at that point the geotech comes in and verifies. If you have your 75 kPa, then you can carry on with your gravel pad, but if not, there's a solution developed. You may have organic soils, there may be sandy soil types which aren't strong enough and need to be modified in a certain way to achieve the proper base. Your geotechnical engineer site visit is going to cost less than $500 most of the time, and dollar for dollar, probably some of the best money spent. Any house, any building that you have experienced that has foundation problems, cracks in the foundation, or settling problems, obviously have skipped this step. If you have your ground approved by engineer, you can guarantee the building is not going to settle because the ground is strong enough to support the building. Build smart really doesn't have to cost much at all. Step 2, installing your gravel pad. Now this year at a slab-on-grade project, we're standing on top of a compacted gravel pad here. But even if this was a full in-ground basement, it would still be recommended to install a gravel pad to level out the surface. The difference is, in a full basement system, that gravel may only need to be 6 to 8 inches thick for drainage. But in a slab system, the gravel pad is usually somewhere between 2 feet thick at a minimum to over 5 feet thick, depending on the grade of the property. Now with this pad in particular, the height is always recommended to extend the gravel to a point where you are 1 foot above the highest natural grade on the property. The overall thickness will depend on how much has to be excavated to reach your bearing capacity. But for example, where we're standing here today, this being the high point, the gravel is approximately 12 to 20 inches above this part of the ground. Property slopes down in this direction. On this far side of the property, The pad is approximately 5 feet above the existing grade because this is the lowest point. Now you can see the gravel also extends well outside of the foundation. The gravel has to extend minimum outside the foundation to the equivalent of the depth of the deepest point of the gravel. It also has to extend a minimum 6 feet around the perimeter so that there's room for frost protection and stability purposes. Now there's two types of gravel pad that exist. One would be what's called clear gravel, where either 3/4 clear or 2-inch clear stone is installed and wrapped in a geotextile. The other type is doing what's called a compacted gravel pad, which is what we're standing on right here, which is a combination of clear stone but also stone dust. Now this type of gravel pad has to be compacted in 12-inch lifts to maintain bearing capacity, and it maintains its bearing capacity by being above 98% compacted. As long as this gravel is 98% or above compacted, it's going to maintain the bearing capacity. So a geotechnical engineer does need to come back to site in the compacted gravel pad install process to make sure it is compacted to that point. There's a special tool that's put into the ground to guarantee that the proper compaction for maintaining bearing capacity is there. If we were standing on top of a loose gravel pad wrapped in geotextile, this is a very interesting way to do the gravel because the clear gravel is considered compacted as soon as it's installed. But there can't be any possibility for the stone to dissipate or erosion to happen, which is why the edges of the clear gravel will get wrapped in a geotextile, maintaining the integrity of the gravel base. But regardless of the way you do your gravel pad, as long as it's compacted and maintains the bearing capacity approved by your geotechnical engineer, the foundation again is going to be guaranteed not to settle and not to compromise the building and last an infinite amount of time. Okay, so step number 3, your footing layer. Now I'm standing on top of the outside 4-foot block perimeter that is part of the foundation for a slab-on-grade system. This is structural styrofoam. It's considered a type 4 EPS, expanded polystyrene. Most polystyrene products are manufactured from recycled plastic beads, so it's actually a really good green product to use. But the styrofoam tray, the outside footing block, is a combination of styrofoam that goes under the non-load-bearing wall and then a concrete footing that goes under the load-bearing wall portion. This concrete footing is approximately 28 inches thick. The under non-load-bearing wall section, approximately 14 inches thick. The total block is approximately 4 feet wide. Now the footing area in this block though can be expanded if the soil type is less than 75 kPa. There's also a lot of structural rebar within the footing system too to give strength for ultimately absorbing any point loads that the building is going to be experiencing. But this outside footing perimeter will be your slab-on-grade footing detail. If this was an in-ground basement system, footings would be more traditional, a poured concrete, 8-inch thick or 8-inch tall by 20 to 24-inch wide concrete footing that would get wrapped in styrofoam. The amount of styrofoam though, or thermal protection, regardless of foundation type, whether it's an in-ground foundation or this slab system, will be determined by your climate zone. Okay, with respect to this project, we're just outside of Ottawa, Ontario, which calls for an R56 perimeter and an R60 under the slab to meet the passive house requirements. If climate zones were closer to the equator, styrofoam can be significantly reduced. It all depends on where your house is going to be built. Do the energy modeling, find out how much the styrofoam can be reduced or how much you need for a certified passive house, and you have strength and stability to last a lifetime. Lastly, step number 4 to complete your foundation system. Either a structural floor or structural wall system is what's going to complete your foundation. With respect to here, slab-on-grade structural floor system is a combination of installing infill styrofoam, so styrofoam that doesn't need to be as strong as the outer perimeter. Infill styrofoam is installed, structural rebar is installed, also a vapor barrier and radon barrier, which is placed underneath the styrofoam system over top of the gravel pad. The radon barrier can also be integrated into the styrofoam. And lastly would be the concrete. If this is a full foundation, same items. There's always rebar and poured concrete system, styrofoam blocks for maintaining the thermal envelope, radon vapor barrier protection, and the concrete, of course, is what completes your foundation. Again, everything starts with the ground, your ground having proper bearing capacity, your gravel pad having proper bearing capacity, and really simply transitioning that bearing capacity to a proper engineered footing detail and structural wall or floor system. Completes your foundation for affordability and longevity.